This is a quick update of the Divi framework called SiteKrafter Pro. So this update is mainly for your sections and rows and how to maintain them to make sure that you have the desired fluidity as you're designing your website. All right, so let me show you what the updates are. So over here, I've intentionally added these colors so we can see exactly what is going on. So the first class we're going to be working with here is the SK block. Now this is your default layout wrapper. It's ideal for the uppermost wrapper for any content block. This handles full width layout with responsive horizontal and vertical padding and maximum width. Let's see how it works. So as you can see here, this is your default layout. In fact, let me just show you quickly. This is out of the box how things look like when you use a section in Divi 5. So if I were to make this smaller, you can see here that everything is responsive, but it leaves a gap right here. And it's very difficult to go in and fix that, of course, unless you go into the actual code. But we have a class for this. So over here, the first thing I'm going to do is to head over to my section settings. We're going to come over here to advanced and we're going to add our class, and it is called SK block. Now you may have noticed this, but you can see now that our section here has pretty much shrunk, and you can see it's slightly smaller here. So let's see how it performs. I'm going to hit save, and then we're going to go in here and refresh. Okay, so now that we have this, you can see our light gray is now in here and this space here is now white. So when we make this smaller, notice what happens when you get to that breakpoint. You see it's shrinking, but our gap there is much smaller. Now let's compare this with the bottom one. And you can see here we have a massive gap here, and right here we have a smaller one. I'm not sure if you can really see that, but this has definitely gone smaller, and the content inside here has also equal spacing, which is also fantastic. And all this is fluid, by the way. Okay, so let's move on to our next one. This is the SK container. Now this is used in rows, and you can use this when you want to center and constrain content within a section or full width row. Okay, so let's demonstrate this. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, go to advanced and remove SK block. And by the way, this one here is used for your like hero sections where you have your text and just a few information on the screen. I wouldn't recommend using this, lower down in the hierarchy of your content. All right, so let's get rid of this now and let's go into our rows. Now this class here goes in our rows. So I'm going to click here on rows, and then we're going to go to advanced CSS ID and classes. And the class I'm going to use is this one right here. So you can see right away, SK container has really changed a few things here. So first of all, it has taken the size of my website, which is 1344 pixels. So let's save this and take a look and see what it looks like. Okay, great. So now when I refresh this page, notice what happens. We now have this content, and you can see if you compare with the bottom one here, this is taking a bit more space compared to the bottom one. So it is stretched. So personally, I prefer this one because of the way it reacts when I make things quite small here. Now look at the size on the sides. It is very consistent throughout. Look at that. Very consistent throughout, and it is also responsive as well. But notice the difference. Here we have this big gap or padding, but then on the inside here, the content is also quite small. But on the top one here, you can see it is expanding, filling up the space that we have in this row. Okay, so if you want to have layouts like that, then this is the ideal way to go. But remember, you would need to go in and start customizing this. So if, for example, in here, I could go in and add further padding by just going in here, and then I could just say padding large, for example. So I can go PAD-L. Now, do you see that we've just added padding around my content in here? So when I save that and then I go in and refresh, we have a bit more breathing space as we make our page slightly smaller here. So this could be the option you want to go with. So I definitely prefer this. But remember, when we finalize our design, these gray areas here won't be visible. So if we compare again this one here to the bottom one, you can see here that the default Divi is not very, very exciting. It's not very exciting. Anyway, Let's move on to the next one. And this one here is the SK section. Now, all it does is it adds vertical padding only. Okay, so, I mean, if you want to do this manually, I mean, you can go ahead and do that. But if you want to make sure you have vertical padding, this is what you would use. And by the way, you can use these together with the other classes. All right, so back over here, I'm on my section settings. I'm just going to go in and add it over here like that. Now let's see what happens. So it adds vertical padding. Remember, we're going to come back and then refresh. Okay, so it may seem like nothing has happened, but notice what happens when I start reducing the size. Now notice that our size here has increased. This is our vertical padding. So when it comes to smaller screens, it looks much, much better as compared to how things are over here. So again, let's continue on. You can see here, the spacing is really nice. Now it's getting smaller. Let's go to the top. You can see there, nice breathing space to the top and the bottom. Now let's continue on. And then as it's getting smaller, do you see how it is responsive and fluid? Look at that. And then when it gets to a smaller size, it even gets lower in size. And now if we compare this is much better as compared to this one right here. So as you can see, they may look very subtle changes, but these changes are really important as you're designing your websites. If you really want to be specific and you want a certain type of layout. Now, when it comes to installing it, it is very, very easy. Let me just show you how to do that. So you have to download the latest one. I will send an email out so that you can go ahead and download it. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here and then show you how to download it. So I'm going to open this in a new tab. So to install it, all you have to do is to come over here to Appearance. You click on Themes, and then this is the new one. So all you need to do is to click on Add Theme, click on Upload. You upload it here, and then you can override what's there, or you can install a new one, and that one will take over. So when it takes over, that means that this one, it becomes the one that's active. And this version here is 6.1.6. So it's right here, 6.1.6. Now, there's also some updates that were done to make sure that all our variables are working together with Divi 5. So it's more compatible. Okay, so there's a few things that I need to finalize here. Let's head over back and remove those gray areas that we entered so you can see at least the page in a much better light. So I'm just going to refresh this. Hopefully I should be able to get back. Okay, let's head over back to our page here. I thought I could just go back. But anyway, so our page here is called Layouts. I'm going to go back in, edit with Divi, and I'm just going to go in here and remove that gray because it doesn't really look great. So here's our BG Gray 200. Remove that. So this is what our layout would look like. Let's head over here and then refresh. And now this is what it would look like. And again, it's fully responsive. As you can see, I have not gone in to add any breakpoints. Everything here is 100% responsive. And this is why you may want to use the SiteKrafter Pro framework, which is based on Divi 5, by the way. It's just, increases your workflow, and basically it is much better to manage your website. As you can see here, I did not go in and start editing all the breakpoints and customizing the text sizes and so on. Everything is all done using classes. So I'll leave a link to that in the video description below. There's a 40% off. And if you purchase it today or in the next coming days, this will give you access to the lifetime membership. As we speak, I'm working on Divi 5, the course itself. So you will get that absolutely free as well after purchasing this. And also bear in mind that there is also some documentation for this. So you can go ahead and follow those videos step by step. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.